Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sister. The message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I want to confess to you what we used to do as a family. And you know, when there is a bad relationship that is there between you and your neighbors, usually it will end up you using witchcraft against your neighbor, or your neighbor using witchcraft against you. That was what happened between us and our neighbors. It hurts me that even up to this day, we do not communicate with our neighbors, but we have since given our lives to Jesus Christ. You know, if there is no the love of God between you and your neighbor, the moment that you have an argument, then you will start to bewitch each other. And at that time, there was this big fight that was happening between my parents and our neighbors. I can say that I was the one who caused that fight because of the boy that I loved. I had been dating this guy from school, but he was older than I was. This guy, he came from a rich family, and him coming from a rich family, I also wanted him to marry me so that at least my parents, they can be okay, because I'll be able to take care of them. So this guy, I did not know that he was a player. He was the one who was the cheating type. He was also dating another girl who was a friend of our neighbor's daughter. So it happened that they went to a party one day. When they went to that party, then the girl who was our neighbor, she then started making love to this guy that I was dating. And that other girl whom he was dating then caught them as they were busy making love. Then the guy said that he chose our neighbor's daughter. And at that time, I did not even know that this was what was happening. This guy, he was such a player. To me, this is what he had said. He had said that he did not want me to tell people that I was dating him. Otherwise, people were going to bewitch us, because he wanted to marry me. So he wanted me to keep him as a secret. So he would come to my place like late at night. Then I would hop into his dad's car. Then we would drive around the neighborhood. So no one even knew that I was dating this guy, until the night that I saw him making out with our neighbor's daughter. This really broke my heart. So I used to go on extra lessons, and when I used to go for those extra lessons, there was this other day when I was coming back, I saw my boyfriend with our neighbor's daughter. And what made me to realize that it was him, it was because of the car that he was driving. The car was parked close to our neighbor's house, and it was his dad's car, the one that he used whenever he would come to pick me up. I was heartbroken when I realized that there were two people that were inside that were busy touching each other. I picked up a stone and I banged on the window, and I said, "What is going on?" And he told me to leave because I was disturbing his peace. Brother Nashi, when you are a heartbroken woman, you can do whatever that you think will make your man to come to you. And I then threw that big stone on the windscreen, and then I smashed the windscreen. So there was too much commotion that was going on, because our neighbor's daughter, she then got out of the car and she was accusing me of being a prostitute who was trying to steal a man. And I was trying to explain to her that I had dated this guy first, and he was the one whom I had slept with first, after he had said that for me to marry you, I need to see if indeed you are a virgin. And I believed him and I slept with him. So we kept on fighting. And then my neighbor's mother then came out, and she did not want to listen to my own side of the story. That was when she called me the daughter of a witch. The moment that I wanted to slap her, she said that I was a prostitute and I was evil-hearted, and my heart was filled with pain when she said that I was a prostitute. And I started to fight with her, and she said, "You are a daughter of a witch." The moment that she said that you are a daughter of a witch, that was when my mother walked out of our yard, and she was like, "What are you saying to my daughter? You are saying that my daughter is a daughter of a witch, which means that I am the big witch. You are saying that she is a prostitute like me." Then my mother got so angry and they wanted to beat each other up. But my father then rushed to the scene and he grabbed me and my mom and we went indoors. So after that, that was when my parents, they started to plan. They wanted to bewitch our neighbors, but our neighbors were the first ones who went out, and then they consulted with the traditional healer. And at that time, when my mom got to find out that there was something that was taking place, maybe it was the devil who wanted my mother to see what was taking place so that she can also go and get her own charms to a traditional healer. My mother, she had gone out. She wanted to buy some meat, and when she had gone out, it was not like we had not prepared a good meal on that evening. We had done so, but my mother said that she wanted to go out and to buy some for herself, and she can cook for herself. And then when she was returning back home, that was when she heard that there were some people that were chanting in our neighbor's yard. So she then went and she looked and she saw that they were busy with the traditional healer. They were just digging up some charms, and they were placing some of the charms inside the hole that they were digging up, but they were doing this really close to our side of the yard. So my mom came back indoors and she told us everything that she had overheard. And then our parents, they started to plan, and they went and they visited a traditional healer in secret. Then there was this other night, we had gone to bed. That was when my mom came and she told us that we were supposed to strip ourselves naked, and I was only supposed to wear a panty only, no bra, no what. Just imagine, in front of your father. My father was naked as well. He was just wearing a boxer short. My mother, even my siblings. We then went outside, and my father was holding some charms, and we then walked close to our neighbor's yard, and then we dug up a hole, and then we placed the charms inside that hole. And my father said that these charms were there to protect us, and that is how this spiritual warfare started. What started happening was that we would see plenty of black cats. We used to count these black cats as they would be jumping over from our neighbor's yard coming into our yard. Sometimes we will count up to 30 cats, and then these cats, they will keep on jumping, coming and getting busy all over our yard. Things were no longer normal. The spiritual battles that were happening, this will make us to get sick. When we will get sick, then our parents will take us to the place where we had buried the charms, and my father will do his chanting, and it was more like a go back to sender. Then the next day, we will hear that our neighbor's child has been admitted to the hospital. So we grew up in that type of an environment. It was just witchcraft, pure witchcraft. When I got married, because of these charms, we did not know that from our side, the charms that we had buried, they had turned out to be snakes, and these snakes, they kept on multiplying. So when we were all grown up, I got married by the age of 22. When I went to stay with my husband's parents, my mother-in-law, she was a very prayerful woman. She said that there was something that was wrong with me. So I then thought that maybe it was because usually there is always a bad relationship that is there between a daughter-in-law and her mother-in-law. So I then reported the matter back to my mother, and my mother then said it was because she hated me. Yet my mother knew that indeed this woman, she had prophesied and she had said that there was something that was wrong with me. For my mother had given me a snake, a tokoloshi, and she did not even bother to tell me that, my daughter, you are now a witch. I have given you this tokoloshi. So I kept on staying at my husband's parents' house, and I caused so much division in the family. You do not even know, Brother Nashi, so much pain that I brought into the family, because what I did is that I would gossip around and people would believe that my mother-in-law, she was the one who was wicked, who was evil-hearted. And then we moved out. It was me and my husband. We moved out, and we then went and we started staying in another area. In that street where we were staying, from the very first day that we started staying in that street, that was when I placed a curse on each and every family that we were staying with in that same street. And I said, if there is a woman who is about to conceive, then I close up her womb. And if there is a woman right now who is carrying a baby in her womb, then I do not want her to give birth to that baby. She has to have a miscarriage. And to those that are still breastfeeding in this street, their children, they should die. And what I would do is that when I would go outside bewitching my neighbors, usually, you might have one of your relatives, when you have bad luck in your life, you usually say that, I think it is such and such a person who has bewitched me. So I would come to you and I will wear their face more like a spiritual mask. And when you have a dream, like if I want to cause you to have a miscarriage, then I'll wear maybe the face of your auntie, your mother-in-law, or whomever that you hate, and then I'll show you that it is I, your auntie, who is causing you to have a miscarriage. So this is what I was doing, Brother Nashi. A lot of evil stuff that I did. But Brother Nashi, my husband, when I stopped him from going to church, that was when he changed. This man, he then started beating me up. He started drinking alcohol like no man's business. I tried each and every charm that I thought that I knew. I tried to give him some love potions, but it did not even work at all. The more that I gave him the love potions, the more that he'll beat me up. I said, where else can I run to? I could not go back to my mother-in-law's house because everyone was saying that she was a witch, yet I knew that she was not a witch. It then happened that in that same community where we were staying, then there was this other crusade at this other church. And I said, maybe if I go there. I then convinced my husband and I said, oh dear husband, I have heard that there is a crusade there. Let us go there. Because in my mind, I told myself that this church, like many churches that were in our community, they were just lukewarm churches, and maybe if we would go there, at least my husband will stop drinking beer and stop beating me up. I just wanted God to give me a temporary solution. So my husband then agreed. We went to that place where they had set up a tent where they were having that crusade. The moment that I got into that tent, there was this powerful female evangelist. She was busy preaching and preaching and preaching. Then I started to feel like really hot, like I felt so hot, and I said, what am I going to do? Then I said, it is time for me to leave. So at that time, when I told myself that I need to leave because this place is getting hotter and hotter each and every time this woman is preaching. And then when I looked at the door, that was when I saw that there was a burning fire that was there. And I had a voice that told me to rise up and to go to the front. And that voice told me that there was no way that I was going to escape that fire. I felt weak. I felt like there was someone who came, who started dragging me to the front as the evangelist was busy preaching. Even before the evangelist had started praying for the people, I was already standing in front of her, and I was waiting for her to pray for me. And I whispered and I said, please, sister, pray for me. She did climb down from the stage. Then she started praying for me. When she started praying for me, I then started manifesting, and I confessed. Later on, my husband told me that there was a snake that came out of me, and this snake manifested through me, and it said that it had been given to me by my mother, and it was the one that I was using to bewitch other people. It even confessed that my mother-in-law was not a witch. She was a good Christian woman, but the snake used to go to her so that people can think that she was a witch. Brother Nashi, these demons, they told the evangelist everything that they had been doing for all of those years that I had been a witch. I am happy, Brother Nashi, and I want to thank God because after I had finished manifesting, then my husband, at least he understood me, and he said, if I dump you, then what is going to happen? He then said that he felt so much pain, thinking that all of these years he was blaming his own mother, thinking that his mother was a witch. But Brother Nashi, I just want to warn other people out there that whenever you get a charm, you need to know that the charm, one day it is going to end up with you being a witch, like what happened to me. This is my story. And I also want to encourage people to always pray, even if your neighbor is not into Christianity. Pray for your neighbor, because if there is godly love between neighbors, then you will never think of bewitching each other. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister right there. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.